Because of him, for beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason.
Tonight,
I thought we would have the rest of our lives together.
pain and heartache on display as victims' families react to admitted murderer Bryan Kohberger spending the rest of his life in prison.
So while I'm disappointed the firing squad won't get to take their shots at you, you will finally get what you wanted. Physical touch. Just probably not how you were expecting it.
Idaho News 6 starts now. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight on Idaho News 6. I'm executive reporter Karen Lair. Tonight, a story years in the making reaches its conclusion as Bryan Kohberger, the man who pleaded guilty to brutally murdering 4 University of Idaho students in their home in the middle of the night in 2022, prepares to begin to spend the rest of his life behind bars. Our team has been down at the Ada County Courthouse since before sunrise this morning, and tonight we have live team coverage. Joining us in just a moment, senior reporter Don Nelson and neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker. But first, a new detail we learned from investigators today. This case has captivated the attention of people all around the world, with hundreds of thousands of people weighing in on the investigation from the start in public groups on social media. Now, one of those members who started commenting right after the murders and went quiet after the suspect's arrest drew quite a bit of attention. Many in a Facebook group following the investigation became convinced the account under the name Papa Roger was Bryan Kohberger. And today, for the first time, investigators completely debunked that theory, saying definitively it was not him.
If any.
Right. There was no connection. There wasn't at all. We looked into every bit of it. We took a deep dive into it. We researched it.
It wasn't him?
It was not. It was not. Thank you. We can cut that off.
Is it possible that there was a second murder weapon used?
I'm senior reporter Don Nelson with neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker, and what an emotional day it has been here at the Ada County Courthouse. Riley, you were inside the courthouse. You saw people come and go. You saw the family and friends enter the courtroom.
Yeah, Don, a long day here at the courthouse. I've been here since 3 a.m. and going into today, there were so many unanswered questions. And, you know, in the nearly 3 years since these murders occurred, we have never heard the 2 surviving roommates speak until today. Inside the courtroom, before a word was even spoken, you could hear the pain.
What happened that night changed everything. Because of him, 4 beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason.
Dylan Mortensen, one of the 2 surviving roommates, began her statement in tears, hyperventilating as she faced the man now convicted of upending her world. For the first time since the attack, we heard words from both roommates, offering long-awaited answers.
I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there.
So much mystery surrounded that morning, many wondering why it took hours to call 911.
I woke up around 7 with a terrible toothache, so I called my dad, who is a dentist. I was still out of it and still didn't know what happened. That was the worst day of my life, and I know it always will be.
Bethany Funk's statement, read by a close friend, described her confusion that morning, her enduring guilt, and the relentless online harassment that followed. She also revealed the fear that has gripped her ever since. Then Mortensen took to the podium, her voice trembling as she shared the lasting trauma of what she survived.
He took away who they were becoming and the futures they were going to have. But I'm still trying. Still trying, and I'm not trying just for me. I'm trying for them, my friends. He will stay here, empty, forgotten, and powerless.
As their words echoed through the courtroom, all eyes turned to Bryan Kohberger, sitting silently and stone-faced as the courtroom echoed with raw grief and anguish. Kohberger never offered an apology, an explanation, or little more than a glance towards the victims' families. Just feet behind him sat his mother and sister, both present for the sentencing. Neither addressed the court, and the defense declined to take questions. A stark contrast to the outpouring of emotion from the other side of the courtroom. And in a long-awaited news conference after the hearing, officials answered questions that have loomed since November 13th of 2022.
Do you have a motive?
We don't.
No.
To this date, found a single connection between him and any of the 4 victims or the 2 surviving roommates.
Investigators also revealed that despite rigorous efforts, they never found the murder weapon, but they did seem to confirm that Kaylee Gonzalez was stabbed 34 times. They say they monitored Kohberger's jail calls, but found nothing of value. Investigators adding that his family never offered any evidence or tips for the investigation, and his demeanor when arrested, calm and relaxed. And if not for the knife sheath, they believe they still would have found him by tracking the white Honda Elantra. In the end, prosecutors argued no words from Kohberger would offer clarity or truth.
I don't believe that there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would be the truth.
Judge Hibbler echoed that, sharply condemning Kohberger before locking him away for good.
His grotesque acts of evil have buried and hidden anything that might have been good or intrinsically human about him. I remand the defendant to the custody of the Idaho State Board of Corrections for to be imprisoned in an appropriate facility and execution of the sentence where he will remain until he dies.
Coming up after the break, more emotional testimony from inside the courtroom and some interesting comments on the steps outside the courthouse.
Welcome back to Idaho News 6. A long and emotional day here at the Ada County Courthouse as we heard from lawyers, friends, and family.
Boy.
Dawn, you spoke with some of that family.
Yes, and after they stared down this convicted killer in the courtroom, they had a chance to come outside the courthouse afterwards and speak to the media.
As the victims' families left the courthouse, they embraced, as almost to say, it's over.
This way, his fate is sealed. Society is protected, and we can move on with our lives and attempt to recover.
The families took turns addressing the throngs of media waiting for them outside. Steve Gonzalez explained why he moved the podium inside the courtroom so he could face his daughter's killer.
I wanted to let him know that I was directing everything towards him, and his days of being protected are coming to an end. I remember reading it saying, "Do not move." So I was like, well, I'm moving this. I just kind of made that decision right then and there. So, I want to make it as difficult as possible. I knew my daughter was going to do a speech, and I'd heard it, and I was like, he's going to hate this. He's going to hate this next set of people that are going to come forward and really rip into him and really expose him for what kind of a piece of trash he was.
In the courtroom, Kaylee's older sister, Olivia, followed with stinging words pointed at the convicted killer.
I'm not here today to speak in grief. I'm here to speak in truth. Because the truth is, my sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie were not yours to take. They were not yours to study, to stalk, or to silence. They were 2 pieces of a whole, the perfect yin and yang. They are everything that you could never be.
This is probably going to bother everybody, but Brian, I'm here today to tell you I have forgiven you because I no longer could live with that hate in my heart. And for me to become a better person, I have forgiven you. And anytime you want to talk and tell me what happened, get my number. I'm here. No judgment, because I do have answers or questions that I want you to answer.
As Steve Gonzalez walked away, I asked him this.
Was this the hardest thing you've ever had to do in your life today? The words that came out of your mouth, looking him, a cold killer in his eyes?
Yeah, it was my whole family, to have my whole family be put into a position where you're vulnerable in there, and you're facing the killer that killed your own family. So It was tough. It was hard, but we knew it had to be said. We knew we couldn't make it easy for this person. We got to make these things tougher and hold people accountable, and that was our goal.
We are here to prove to the world that you picked. And if you watched any of the streaming this morning, I thought it was interesting too. A short round of applause for some of those family members that gave testimony.
They were very united. That was, one thing they kept repeating, that they have been united by this tragedy. Yeah. So, it did, I'm sure it felt like a relief.
And Judge Hippler let them go on that to show their emotion in the courtroom.
Yeah. More on this. Stay with us.
The shocking nature of the U of I stabbings put a heavy focus on finding justice for the perpetrator, Bryan Kohberger. But in the end, he's just a criminal, and the sooner forgotten, the better. Tonight, we're honoring the victims. Beyond the headlines and the crime scene photos, they were people with passions and big dreams for the future. So here's how we hope to remember these 4 Idaho students gone too soon. 4 University of Idaho students whose dreams were cut short. The victims, all friends and part of the University of Idaho's Greek system. Madison Mogan. Friends call her Maddie. The 21-year-old senior was a marketing major with a bright future ahead of her. She ran social media for a local restaurant and was known for her warm smile and kind heart. Friends say Madison loved country music and spending time with her family and boyfriend. Her father described her as the best person you could ever meet. Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison's best friend since 6th grade. The 21-year-old senior had just accepted a job in Austin, Texas, and was planning a post-graduation trip to Europe. She was a general studies major with plans to pursue a career in law. Kaylee's family remembers her adventurous spirit and how she loved spending time with her dog, Murphy. Her sister said Kaylee was the one who glued us all together. Xana Kernodle was a 20-year-old junior studying marketing. Friends describe her as a positive, funny person and someone who could lift spirits in any room she entered. Xana worked at a Greek restaurant near campus and was known for her strong work ethic. Her father said she was tough as nails and fought for her life until the very end. She had recently celebrated her birthday with her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin. Ethan was a 20-year-old freshman studying recreation, sport, and tourism management. He was a triplet, with his brother and sister also attending the University of Idaho. Friends remember Ethan for his infectious smile and love of sports, especially basketball. His mother described him as our comedian who always made everyone laugh. The Chapin family has since created Ethan's Smile, a foundation dedicated to helping students participate in sports and recreation. These 4 young people were more than victims of a terrible crime. They were sons and daughters, friends and classmates, each with dreams and plans for the future. Their lives continue to be celebrated by those who knew and loved them. The University of Idaho has established memorial scholarships in each of their names. Their legacies live on through the memories shared by family, friends, and a community that will never forget them.
Idaho News 6 Allergy Report is brought to you by Boise Valley Asthma and Allergy Clinic.
All right, your allergy report is in. The pollen count numbers still in the low category. 18 yesterday, down to 13 today. In other words, pollen is really not an issue for your allergy sufferers there. A little grass, a little quinupod, a little pine, nothing major, and hopefully it stays this way again right through the upcoming weekend.
The role of media and free speech has been at the center of this case from the very beginning. What do people deserve to know and when? The disturbing nature of the crime sparking international attention. And in the 2.5 years since, it's spawned countless blogs, podcasts, news specials, docuseries, and even a book by James Patterson. All this despite a strict gag order intended to preserve Kohberger's constitutional right to a fair trial. The victims' families reacting to that media interest and attention in different ways. Some chose to stay silent, telling the court today the constant barrage only prolonged and worsened their grief.
Social media made it so much worse, and strangers made up stories to entertain themselves. The media harassed not just me, but also my family. People showed up at our house. They called my phone, my parents' phones, other family members' phones, and we were chased while I was still trying to survive emotionally and grieve the loss of my friends.
Now, others, like the family of Kaylee Gonsalves, have been more outspoken, using their platform to keep attention on the case and demand answers in their pursuit of justice.
You can use the media as much as they're using you. You can use it to keep people accountable, keep people honest, keep the court system, treating you with a little bit of respect. And I think that's what we did. And the more that you get active, I think the more chance that you're going to get that justice in the end.
And it isn't over. Last week, the Gonsalves family telling ABC News they want more answers, but they don't want Kohberger to write a book or gain in any way from his crimes. It's a concern echoed by Judge Stephen Hippler in court this morning.
I know there has been concern about him collaborating on books or movies or other media projects, and I truly hope that someone does not stoop to affording him this spotlight that he desires in the name of clicks, royalties, or profits. In my view, the time has now come to end Mr. Kohberger's 15 minutes of fame.
The judge lifting the gag order in the Kohberger case last week after it became clear he would not go to trial. And the city of Moscow sharing a new website where anyone can access documents from their homicide investigation for free. As soon as we have that link, you'll be able to find it on our website. And some documents will remain under seal by the court, but we do expect to gain some access to new information in the coming months.
Now, look outside from the Treasure Valley Chevy Dealers Tower Cam.
Final check of that forecast. Again, the extended forecast shows our temperatures finally going back to normal, or actually 1 degree above normal on Thursday and Friday, with temperatures hitting 95. Might dip just a little, but still hot over the weekend. A little cloud cover Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In the evening, some mountain thunderstorms. Keep an eye out for that. And then getting close to 100 degrees by Tuesday. We may peak with the heat, and then it might even dip back down to the lower 90s again by the end of next week. Be sure to join Isaiah Sharp tonight at 10 o'clock. He's going to have an update to this extended forecast.
Tonight, we close the door on the terrible tragedy in Moscow. And as the families process their grief and Kohberger is banished to his cell, we turn our attention away from the killer. Instead, we leave you with this powerful statement from Scott Laramie, the stepfather of Madison Mogen.
But evil does not deserve our time and attention. We are done being victims. We are taking back our lives. We will turn our time, talents, and attention to hope, healing, and helping others, and to the future. We invite all those who have suffered with us on this to join us in our journey. We can make this world a better place. We can move on from tragedy. Adversity will visit us, evil will visit us, but we will overcome. We can and will endure.